Welcome to the session on personal management. As you have studied all the elements of management, and one of the most important element was staffing. Personal management is also a part of staffing, but you are having a separate unit, so we are taking in detail now on the concepts of personal management, what is the evolution, importance, and what are personal policies. I think all of you must have gone through the PowerPoint and YouTube link which I have sent you regarding personal management and personal policies. Today, to discuss this topic with me, there is Ms. Sukriti is there with us. I welcome Ms. Sukriti for this session. Students always like your sessions because the way you explain the management concepts to them, they become the concepts becomes very clear to them. Thank you so much for that. So let us start by understanding in general what is personal management. It is a management of manpower, deals with planning, organizing, directing and controlling the personal function of an organization, concerned with the recruitment, selection, development, utilization and motivation to achieve the organizational goals. Personal management of people is very important because every organization wants to achieve the objectives and want to have good output and performance of an organization. Personal management is very effective if there are good personal policies, procedures and programs are there which are well planned to achieve the objective. So what is the evolution of personal management? During the 19th century, when industrialization grew, manpower was termed as labor. And it was not given any importance because there was no importance of human being. They were hired and fired at any time. Their problems and developments were not taken care of and they were treated as a commodity. That means they can buy people, they can pay, and whenever the work is over, they can be hired and fired system was there. That means hiring when there was a need, then firing when there was no need, and no human touch was there, and no one used to think of any welfare activities. But as soon as there was an industrial revolution, that brought changes and manpower was given the importance. Labor word was replaced by manpower. It was realized that human beings are important for running an organization. Concept of human welfare was originated and it was thought that welfare of people has impact on productivity and output of the organization. In 1920s, new classical theory, that is job-oriented and the behavioral approach, came into existence with the emphasis on group philosophy and social attitudes. All of you have read about the group and group dynamics, so you can now understand what is the importance of group and group dynamics. Personal management is based on human relations. People are most complex factor in an organization, therefore it is very important for any personal management to understand individually each and every member, because everyone is an individual. You cannot compare two people. It is not enough to consider the technical skills of the people, but how people will react and they are used in an important, how they can be used and how their competencies can be used and their weaknesses can be strengthened in an organization is also very important. Behavior approach helped in understanding human element in the management. Help in developing favorable working condition. Application of open communication, participative supervision, democratic leadership, job satisfaction, motivation and group dynamics. Now I think you have already covered all these topics. You can relate very nicely with the personal management. It helps in developing interpersonal relationship among people who are working together. So this was in brief about the introduction and evolution of the personal management. Now I will request Ms. Sukriti to explain us about the concept of personal management.
So, personal management is a process through which we mold the human resources in our organization, that is our employees and the staff members in our organization, into a way so that they become efficient workers, so that they can contribute towards achieving our organizational objectives. This process of personal management helps to promote individual development among every staff member and every employee, and provides opportunities to every person so that they can make the best contribution that they can, that is, they can achieve their potential and make contributions. We also aim to encourage confidence development in them and making good interpersonal relations between not just two employees but also employer and the employee. The overall aim is to ensure that our organizational objectives are met. This is the overall aim for any management or administrative function. And through personal management, we develop our individuals or our staff members or employees so that they can help us to achieve the objectives. The underlying philosophy of personal management is that organization is a social concept. That is, it is a social system and not just a technical system or economic system. So, in any organization, the social behavioral aspects are very important because it is through these aspects which define how our employees will behave. And this influences the behavior of employees, which is very necessary because at the end, it is the employees who will do the work. You can have a lot of good machines, very hi-fi technology, or you can have a lot of funding and resources. But if the people are not motivated or skilled to work, then all of this is of no use. Personal management consists of certain activities. That is the scope of personal management. Number one is staffing. Staffing involves activities like manpower planning. That is, you see how many people you will need, and selection of people. And that is putting the right people to the right job. Then second, it involves training and development, which includes induction training for new joiners and also continuous training and staff development activities. Then third, there are economic activities that you undertake as a part of personal management. This consists of defining what are the wages and the salaries to be paid to the employee. So economic aspect deals with money. Then fourth, you have motivational scope. That is, you need to recognize the work of people and also give them appreciation so that they will continue to perform well. Then fifth scope is good conditions, or we have to provide good working conditions so that an employee can work. Good conditions can be having clean restrooms and washrooms in the organization, having canteen or cafeteria facilities, or maybe transportation or cab facilities also. So these are all conditions which will allow a person to be very productive. So these are conditions, if they are not met, then a person's productivity and work is hampered. For example, if your organization does not have clean washrooms, you will not be able to work very well. Then another scope, sixth scope is communication. That is, we have to maintain good work relations, communicate and counsel the employees. The key objectives of personnel management are: number one, we aim to develop a competent workforce so that our work can be carried on smoothly and people are working to their maximum potential. Second, we motivate the people so that they will contribute towards achieving our organizational objectives. Then third, we have to establish a conducive and favorable working environment and also good interpersonal relations so that the environment of the organization is suitable for high productivity. Fourth, we develop the potential and give the freedom to the employees by letting them take initiative and giving them opportunities to do good work and to showcase the work. Then fifth, we estimate what will be the future staffing requirement or current staffing requirement if there is any gap, so that we can do proper manpower planning and we have right people always on the job so that work is not hampered and work goes on smoothly.
Thank you, Ms. Sukriti, for explaining us the meaning and the scope and the objectives of the personnel management. Now I will just, what she has explained, I will brief you what is the aim of the nursing personnel management relating to what she has explained. The aim of nursing personnel management is to attract, retain competent professional nurses so that the nursing services are provided efficiently and effectively and the patient gets satisfied and get need-based, evidence-based quality nursing care, and the objectives of the organization or the hospital are also achieved. Personal management, a personal manager, that is your nurse manager, work for the welfare of the nurses, for personal welfare activities are being planned for them and for their families so that they are satisfied at the work. Then, as she has told, to employ nurses best fitted by education, skill and experience to perform the specified job, to guarantee the fairness in the maintenance of discipline, to upgrade and promote the existing staff whenever possible, that is carrying out the staff development activities, on the job activities, sending them for the workshops, seminar, conferences and organizing in the hospital also, and maintaining a work hours or the time schedule or your duty roster, because every nursing personnel should work for the specified hours, they should get the specified offs, and everyone should work in or rotation in all the shifts. So that is very important to see by a nurse manager to ensure permanent and continuous employment. In the government, it is a permanent and a continuous employment, but as you see in the private sector, the turnover is very high. Therefore, it is very important even in the private sector for the nurse managers to see that they are able to retain nurses for long time by providing good pay and other welfare services. To maintain the standard of remuneration and good working conditions, that is very essential. To provide regular consultation or counseling to the employee, suppose they have any personal problem at the workplace or some adjustment problem or family problem, there can be many problems, therefore good guidance and counseling services also should be provided to them. Then to provide orientation in service education, evaluation of the performance of the employee and their promotion. These are very important things because every employee waits for their promotion and good performance appraisal, and suppose if there are any weaknesses, they should be communicated to them. Not only weaknesses but also their strengths. It encourages them, it motivates them to work further. So Then encourage social and recreational facilities. Nowadays most of the hospitals have sports day, they celebrate all the festivals, then they celebrate certain days and they have get-togethers, and some of the hospital invite their family members also. This is very important because some of them are staying in the campus or coming from the home, but everyone should be invited in all the functions. And then to maintain the personal records of the employee, that is employee's performance, basic employment records for their performance or any whatever related to them, their training, their welfare activities, all should be maintained correctly. So in this way, that is the objective and the aim of nursing personnel management. Now I will request Ms. Sukriti to explain the characteristics of personnel management.
So the characteristics of a good personnel management or optimum management are: number one, you should have very clearly defined policies and procedures which should be formulated in a clear manner, implemented and evaluated periodically to see if they need any changes. These policies and procedures should also be well communicated to all the employees. Second, there should be good communication system and coordination which should be established and maintained so that every staff member or employee knows that if he or she wants to say something or communicate, maybe a grievance or maybe any problem or even a feedback or suggestion, then how do they go about it and what approach should they follow. Then third, there should be proper training that should be provided to new employees and continuous and periodic staff development programs for all the existing employees so that they have all the required skills that are needed to perform their jobs, and time to time they keep on updating their skills also. Then fourth, good supervision and guidance should be provided, and this is the responsibility of the personnel manager that he sees that there is good supervision, all guidance is given, any help that the staff members need, that assistance is provided, and also responsibility and authority is delegated, that so that the lower members, the staff members, can also develop their confidence and learn new skills. Then there should be participative management that should be followed, and a democratic style of leadership should be followed, because this gives an opportunity to all the members to give their suggestions or their feedback without any fear. It gives them a platform where every employee can speak up and give some ideas. Then there should be individual focus on each staff member's development and their potential, so that everybody feels that they are a good and a worthy member of the organization or of the team. This will help to encourage team spirit also, and individually also people will contribute in the maximum possible manner. Then, as we discussed, there should be good record maintenance, which is very important for good personnel management. So you should maintain employment records or performance records for every member. Then there should be, lastly, there should be a good match between individual goals and values and the organizational goals and values. When you are doing staffing, when you see that you are selecting the right people, you also need to see that the individual skills and values match the skills required on the job and the values of the organization. That is, the person should be well fit for the organization. The matching of values is also called cultural fit with the organization. This is very important because people will be then working in a way that is good for the organization and there will be no conflicts. So how do you know that you have a good personnel management system? You will know when there is low turnover in cases of private hospitals, as we discussed, or even in government hospitals you will have low absence with the staff members.
Even in the government, sometimes the turnover is high when there are vacancies from the abroad. So one has to see how to attract people in your own system.
Right. So when you have that low turnover, that will tell you that your personnel management is working. Apart from turnover, your employee health would be up, your employee morale would be high, and there will be good team spirit and interpersonal relations in the organization, which will also lead to lower conflict. All of this is important because it will lead you to provide quality care to the people by increasing the efficiency in the work.
Now, I will just tell in brief what is the role of a nurse manager as a personal manager also. I will interrelate all the points what Ms. Sukriti has discussed. The nursing manager tries to achieve objective by encouraging team spirit and team cooperation in the nursing service department, to improve the quality and standard of nursing care by improving the efficiency of nurses, to help in the development of each nurse to the highest potential, and carry out all the personal management functions, that is your managerial functions, planning, organizing, staffing, directing, controlling, and operating functions like procurement and development. Operative functions like involved in selection, recruitment and placement of nursing personnel in a proper place, giving them an induction training. Procurement involves calling for application of scrutinizing them, conducting written test, interview and induction of a personnel at a right time, and giving a complete orientation about the hospital. Personal development is also important for updating the knowledge and skill. Therefore, the staff development activities are very essential. Most of the hospital nowadays are having a continuing nursing education department and continuing medical education department, and in some hospital it is combined. Proper remuneration should be given and the welfare activities should be planned very meticulously as per the norms and the rules and regulations of the institution. Then motivating the employees and investment in the employees is very important. Then good physical environment to be provided for the working conditions, safety measurements, health facility, recreational facility, as already I have told, as Ms. Sukriti told about, even some hospitals provide the travel facilities to their employees so that they do not struggle while coming and going back. Then in nutshell, before we go to the personal policies, that personal management deals with recruitment of right personnel for the right job, placement of employees, developing and conducting induction training, developing job description, developing and implementing job analysis and job evaluation, then planning and organizing for staff development programs, identifying the potential of personnel and using their potential to the maximum so that they work for the organization and they also feel satisfied, organizing and arranging various other welfare activities, ensuring good human relation in the organization, encouraging cooperation among the employees, developing the potentials of an employee, not only finding the faults but developing their potentials is important, taking responsibility for protecting and maintaining the health of the employee, maintaining interest and motivation to reduce the turnover and maintain the morale of the employee. So these things are very important to keep in mind by a nurse manager as a personal manager. So now let us see other aspect that is also very important. What is personal policies? In an organization, you must have read or heard about that there is a policy manual. I think all of you must be having, which contains various policies regarding recruitment, selection, posting, transfer, salary administration, leave policy, employee benefit and reward policy, training policy, and personal management policies. Policies are guide for an employee to achieve the objectives. They are guidelines for action, help in decision making. They are flexible. Not flexible means sometimes they can be modified according to the situation. I will request Ms. Sukriti to explain us the meaning and the concept of personal policies.
So, like we just said, personal policies are guidelines. That is, they are guidelines for the employees on how they should act in the organization and how the decisions should be taken in an organization. How are they different from laws or orders? When you talk about a law, it has to be strictly followed, whereas a policy is merely a guideline or a guide which directs the action of people in a way that we want to achieve the objective. It shows the intent of the organization of where it wants to go, and so accordingly how the organization wants every member to act in a certain manner. Policies can be to avoid negative consequences also, or to seek some positive benefit also. For example, when we have purchasing policies, a centralized purchasing in a lot of organizations, that if a new, for example, if a new machine has to be bought or a new facility has to be opened, then those decisions will only be taken at centralized level.
Now there is a GEM system, online system for purchasing for the government. So all the government organizations are following that, but in the private sector they have their own purchasing policies.
Right. So why do we have these policies? So that the excess spending does not happen and there is no wastage. Because when the decision making is reserved with a top level management, then they know how many facilities or machines we already have. They can keep the record and see whether we really need it or not. So this is to avoid some negative consequence. For seeking a positive benefit, like we discussed the example of a lot of organizations providing cab facilities to their workers so that they can transport to the organization from home and go back home for some small amount that is deducted from the monthly salary. This is to give them positive benefit of, that is, ease of transportation. Or similarly, you have canteen facilities also where you get coupons also for low rate food. What are the characteristics of certain these policies? They have to be stable, but they also have to have an element of flexibility where they can be changed in times of very urgent or unforeseen needs. Like we have the COVID-19 going on right now. So a lot of the policies have been changed so that the decision can be taken quickly in cases of emergency like we have right now. So policies have to be flexible also. Then they should be applicable in similar situations. That is, they should be consistently followed. It is not like one employee is doing the same activity and they are getting punished less and one employee is getting punished more. The consistency helps to ensure that there is no biasness by the manager or favoritism by the manager.
You mean to say like disciplinary policies are there in our hospital?
Yes.
So that it should be disciplined. If they have same mistake is done by two employees, the disciplinary action process should be same.
The same,
Yeah.
yes. So this helps to reduce the bias, and also it helps the employees to feel motivated and feel that the organization is taking care of us and it is fair. Then the policies should be clear and easy to understand so that everyone has the same interpretation of the policy. They should be based on objectives and work towards getting the good decisions and actions. That is, the result of the policies, of following the policies, should be good actions by every member, and they should be formulated by a set committee and not by one individual member. Why do we need the policies? We need them so that we can establish what are the values and standards in our organization, and these values and standards are communicated to everyone so that they can be followed and upheld by every employee.
So it is very important role of a nurse manager, top level and the middle level, to communicate all the policies to the nurses who are frontline workers, and they should be manual, which should be circulated to all.
Right. And because this should be circulated to everyone, so they will also guide every employee to taking an informed decision before performing any action. So that this also provides a direction in which, strategic direction where our organization wants to go. When every employee is working with a similar mindset and thinking before taking action, it will make sure that there is no chaos in the organization and work follows in an organized and smooth manner.
Now let us understand about, there are certain types of policies. First is general and specific. General policy, like all the nurses who will apply for the post of nursing officer or senior nursing officer should be registered as RN RM with the state council. RN RM means registered nurse and registered midwife. So it is a general policy of all the hospitals and the healthcare establishment. Specific policy is, it can be when they make recruitment rules or when there is a transfer from one department to another. Suppose they want to recruit nurses for the ICU or for the operation theatre. They can say there should be 1 or 2 years of experience with nursing officer to work in the ICU or the operation theatre or any critical area. Why they want that? Because they want that the exposure of the nurse in the critical area is important, because the quality of care can be given and she can handle all the emergencies and take risk in decision making, because you have to save the life of a patient there. Then there are expressed, oral or written policies. Oral policies are flexible, less authentic and sometimes create confusion. Suppose your senior nursing officer or ANS give oral instructions to 2 of the nursing officers working in the ward that 2 of you will work in the emergency ward from tomorrow. But she has not given any written order. Which 2 nurses will go? So there is a confusion. If she gives in writing, that will become authentic and have a evidence. The order can be issued by name, like Smita and Jolly will work in maternity OPD for 2 weeks from maybe 1st May to 15th May, and Sunita and Veena will work in maternity ward for next 2 weeks, maybe from 21st to 31st May. So it is clear who 2 will work in the OPD and who 2 will work in the ward for how much time. So if orders are in written, that becomes authentic and less confusion and evidence is there. Then there are implied policies. Behavior and actions of supervisors are followed by others. It can be questionable sometimes. One of the policy in the hospital is nursing rounds or taking over or giving over the charge. In the morning, in the olden times, when ANS or senior nursing officer used to come, or your ward sister or the matron, in the old times they were known as, handing over or nursing round was done bed to bed. That was a policy, implied policy. No one has to tell that. But over a time now, that policy is changed. Sometimes they just stand on the gate and take over the charge, or during the round they just take brief from the nursing officer and go back. So it is an implied policy that how the rounds will be taken. Then originated or internal policy, originated within broad framework by top managers to guide the subordinates. Like every ICU nurse who attends any conference or workshop will come back and train 30 or 40 more nurses. That means, suppose your organization is sponsoring one nurse to go for any workshop or conference. It is an internal policy that when she comes back, it is her duty to train 30 to 40 more nurses in the hospital, because every nurse cannot be trained outside, and it saves the resources of an organization. Then appealed on request of subordinate. Sometimes some subordinates can appeal that we should have a training or some policy regarding the working in the unit or ward, so that there is no confusion and conflicts. Sometimes there can be a request because rotation plan is made, time schedule is already made as a policy matter. But sometimes the staff has an urgency, they can request a change. So that is appealed on request if some policies are being changed. That's why Ms. Sukriti told it is flexible also according to the situation. Imposed or external policies are thrust upon by the government, labor unions or the associations. Like staff nursing, government has taken a decision to employ staff nurses on contractual basis. So that is a policy of a government. Second is, was an order by the court that minimum salary for a nurse in the private sector to be given. So that was imposed legally. So there are certain policies which are imposed legally also. Organizational policy which are being made by the top level managers. They are internal policies again. Timing of your OPD. At what time attendance will be there, what time attendance register will be closed, what time the late register will be open, what will be the working timing in the OPD, schedule of the staff, visiting hours in the hospital. These are all organizational policies. Then there are some departmental policies for functioning in the particular department. Like you must be having policies in the ICU, operation theatre, labor room, nurseries. Then your PPE policies, your universal precaution policies, working in the nursery, how to change your dress, how to wash hands. These are all the policies. Visiting hours of the mother in the nursery. Then timing of collection of samples, collection of reports. All these are departmental policies. So in this way, we have told you about what are the types of policies. Now I will request Ms. Sukriti to tell us what are the challenges associated with it.
So the key challenge in personnel policies is changes. That is, if there are any changes in the environment, it leads to a problem. That is, there is a need that the policies will have to be revised and updated accordingly as per the new standards. Where can these changes happen? These changes can happen either in the external environment, that is, maybe there are changing trends in the employees and the workforce, existing employees and the potential employees also, in the government policies or in the economic scenario. For example, like we have discussed that nurses are going abroad also for better opportunities. So this is a challenge, and so our staffing policies have to be relooked. That how can we retain our nurses and all the staff members, personnels, not just existing employees but also people who may potentially join the organizations later on. That how do we retain them within the nation? So this is a new trend that is coming up which poses a challenge. In the similar way, there can be another change in the values, expectations or need of the people. For example, many people have problem in commuting. So as an employee or potential employee, I have the expectation that the organization will provide me transportation facilities. And if the organization does not have the policy, then this will be a challenge. Or when we talk about need, like in educational institutions right now, for no face-to-face classes can happen because of the current scenario. So there is a need for new classes to be happen, new ways, that is through online learning and teaching.
Like we are doing for you also.
Right. So even institutions which traditionally had no policy of having any online education will now have to adopt.
Now even the patient consultation, the telemedicine, the doctors can conduct telemedicine consultation. It is being added in the MCI Act also. So they have revised that policy because there is a need, not even now, maybe in the future also.
So this way policies have to be updated. So the key challenge on any policy, personal policy, is through changes either in number 1, trends in the workforce and employees. Number 2, changes in the values of people and expectations and need of the employees. And number 3, changes in government policies or economic environment. To overcome these challenges, like we discussed, policies have to be periodically revised. We should analyze periodically what are the changes happening in the environment externally and also internally. Like the COVID-19 need is very, very clear, but there are some challenges which may not be clear. Like even when we say that people are not joining the organization, then we have to see what is the reason why they are not joining, what is the underlying factor, and then address them in our new policies. So they need to be analyzed and updated at time to time.
With the challenges, I will just take 2 minutes more to tell you what are the steps of formulating a personal policy so that you can understand what we have told you, and the challenges, the way she has explained, actually lead to the steps of formulating the personal policies. The personal policies is a teamwork. Again, all the top level managers make these policies. They take the feedback from the employees, middle level employees also. It emerges from the objectives of the organization. It is influenced by your national, state and your institutional goals. To achieve goals, decisions are directed through these policies. Policies are framed at the planning level. So you should remember your first function. That's why it is being said planning is the most important thing any manager has to do. It is very crucial because all the functions of an organization are dependent on planning. Define personal policies which can be selected and implemented easily, and which are flexible and which are being communicated to all. As she has explained, it should be evaluated and reframed over a time as per the need. That is very important for every nurse manager to understand. So today, in nutshell, we have studied about what is personal management, what is its objective, what are the importance of personal management, what was its characteristics, and what were the role of a nurse manager. Policies meaning concept, types of policies, characteristics of personal policies, what were the challenges and steps to form personal policies. I hope this session is clear to you, but still if you have question, you can send on the WhatsApp group. And most of you are sending the feedback and the questions in the group. That's very encouraging. And today we have completed our BNS 110 theory, all the 4 blocks. I hope the concept of nursing administration, all the aspects are clear to you. You can go through all the presentations which are available on the Facebook, and I will put up in the Google Classroom also over the time, so that whenever you need it, you can go through all the sessions. Before leaving, you can give us the feedback also. Thank you.